How did an embargo on bird poop inadvertently contribute to the Holocaust? How did mammals end up with an eye inside their brain? Can you snap somebody's neck like in the movies? Learn the truth behind these and much more in my new book, Facts That Aren't True. Link in the description. This is Dr. Jerry Bergman. No, wait a minute. This is Dr. Jerry... No, that's not right. This is Dr. God damn it. There we go. This is Dr. Jerry Bergman. Well, I say doctor. Now, the Institution of Creation Research says he has 9 degrees. One of them is a PhD. I think actually maybe 2 of them. PhD in human biology from Columbia Pacific University. Something about that is just so incredibly funny. This university was permanently shut down in either 2000 or 2001 because it was a fraud institute. It was a diploma mill. I looked into some of the cases that were used as evidence that this was not a genuine university that was violating academic standards. One person received a PhD. The thesis they handed in was in Spanish. Nobody on the approval board could read or speak Spanish. Several people got their degrees in less than a year. One person got 2 PhDs in 4 months. One of them was in music composition. The other was in psychology. I did a debunking video on Not a Dr. Jerry Bergman, but then I saw that Erica was going to debate him, and so I got pretty excited for that. So I watched the debate and I sent in a lot of super chats. Only 2 of them got asked. I sent 2 super chats that effectively said the university Jerry got his degree from was shut down for fraud. So why should we believe Jerry's PhD is legitimate? And then another time I asked sort of the same thing, but I said, Jerry, tell us what your thesis statement was. I would love to see what Jerry submitted for his PhD in human biology. Now, the reason I want to talk about Jerry again is because by asking this one question, and by Jerry for once in his life ever being kind of sort of honest, I got him to admit that their entire philosophy, their entire movement, everything they do and say and believe is complete nonsense. It's a contradiction according to them.
If human evolution were true, what would the fossil evidence look like? What kind of fossils and specimens would we see? Please be specific. Jerry, go ahead.
Well, I suppose.
So before we get to that, it's actually probably important for me to point out the topic of the debate was, does the hominin fossil record support human evolution? So, but this is a question I love to ask creationists and evolution deniers and even people that don't believe the Big Bang and all that. I ask them to tell us, what would the evidence look like if it was true?
If evolution was true, many of the fossils we found are probably what we'd expect to find. We find animals that have traits of humans, and we find animals...
Erica, I didn't catch you do that. Well, she's not going to watch this video, but I didn't catch her do that when this happened. But the way she just went, yeah. So if you didn't quite hear it, Jerry very explicitly said the fossils we have are what you would expect to find.
Animals that have traits of other primates. Therefore, yeah, I think what we find in the fossil record is pretty much what we would expect if evolution was true. But that doesn't prove evolution is true. That simply proves that there are similarities.
Oh boy. Oh, Jerry. Well,
there are similarities between us and other animals where there are not the same similarities between us and chimps.
I don't know if you will be able to make out what the chat says, but like right here, Kenneth conceded. And a lot of people were saying that, me included. To say that the evidence we have is the evidence you would expect to find means that we have scientific evidence in support of this question or hypothesis or claim. you're allowed to, and it's true, I suppose, to say that that doesn't prove it, but science doesn't necessarily deal in proof. I'm actually surprised that he did give a direct answer to this, because he spent the entire debate. Jerry knows that the answer to my question is the answer he gave. And for this whole 5-hour debate, he went to extremely great lengths to not at all talk about fossils. Not at all. All he did was talk about genetics the whole time, because according to him, and this is the argument he made over and over again, it doesn't matter what the fossils show. Genetically, evolution of kinds is impossible. Therefore, human evolution can't be true. So evidence, fuck it. If you have a long drive or you have a bunch of chores to do or, whatever else, listen to the debate. It's good. Parts of it were maddeningly frustrating, and I don't think it was a good debate performance. I wish I knew 10% what Erica knows. The information Erica gave was absolutely fantastic. If you clipped out of this all of Erica's talking points and then just made that a YouTube video, you would think that it's just a classroom lecture. And because that's sort of what it was. Again, a masterfully great one. But instead of asking Jerry a question or pinning Jerry on a thing, Erica would kind of talk for like 1, 2, 3, sometimes like 4 minutes nonstop. And not asking a question, but just, giving information. Not hating, I'm just stating that observation. And honestly, the question I gave, that's the type of thing that needs to be our only strategy. Our only strategy, the only thing we should do when we engage with these people is go at it from the angle, strategize, form your questions around the fact that they are either lying or they are total hypocrites, and we can make them prove it. I made Jerry prove it. I didn't ask Jerry to swallow information that I gave him. I didn't give him any information. I forced Jerry to reconcile with what the evidence is, and they can't get away with it. Anybody can just the evidence you're giving them, and that makes it more of a tennis match. Here, it's my turn to say some things. Well, now it's my turn to say some things. Think about being a member of the opposition, listening to Jerry say what he said. You have to listen to your side say, yeah, you're right. Anyways, I've gotten this to work plenty of times. I had a debate I posted with that Discord group a couple of weeks ago, specifically with the frog example. I got them to admit that they believe in the evolution of kinds. Again, I think this should be our only strategy, or it should be the only thing you focus on when we engage with them. They believe in a methamphetamine-fueled hyper-evolution because they believe only a few thousand species turned into the millions we see. And not in 4,000 years. It's been 4,000 years since the flood didn't happen. But they have to believe that those species, that's an equal number of species forming from that moment to today. No, we've really not seen hardly any species just suddenly appear before our eyes, except for a handful of cases. So they have to believe that the vast majority of that happened in only a couple hundred years. So first of all, I would focus on trying to get them to explain to you scientifically and specifically how that's possible. Evolution, even if it's only microevolution by their standards, how an accelerated rate of it, the likes of which even evolution believers in the traditional sense like us don't believe is even possible, scientifically, logically, how can that happen in a manner of only years, but across hundreds of millions or billions of years, slower evolution that leads to dramatic morphological changes can't happen? Start with that, perhaps. But you can unequivocally demonstrate that they believe in evolution of kinds. This information was sent to me by a viewer. You can, they emailed it to me. You can email me too, planetpetersonscience@gmail.com. A classic Kent Hovind is to repeat, well, there are limitations in the process. An elephant can't grow to the size of Texas. Okay, well, bamboo is not the size of Texas, but these two types of grass, according to the creationist model, they're in the same family, they're the same kind. How does this happen? Extreme size variation in armadillo-like animals, that's a good one. This plant one is pretty wild. Allium, I'm not going to try to say that, I don't know how. But its genome size is 6.85 billion base pairs, about twice what a human's is. But another plant that's in the same genus, definitely the same kind, has almost 31 billion base pairs. How does that happen? On the bottom, these plants are in the same family, which is traditionally what creationists call a kind, and we have chromosome numbers ranging from 34 to 150. According to the creationist model, the four turtles on top, they're in the same family, so that kind of variation can happen, but the turtles on bottom, they are not in the same family. So apparently that kind of variation is impossible. But look at these turtles, ask any creationist to look at these and say, why on earth could the four on top share a common ancestor that can become those four, whereas the four on bottom, that isn't possible? Now, they may claim ignorance. They almost certainly will. That's their strategy, to get away from any kind of accountability. They'll say, well, I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know how many turtles were on the ark. It doesn't matter, because according to their logic, it is not possible for the four turtles on bottom to share one common ancestor. They have to tell you why. Some more examples with toads. Fun fact, there's no such thing as a toad. Toad is just colloquially what we call certain types of frogs. There are over 50 families of frogs. So if there were two frogs on the ark, then an evolution of kinds necessarily must happen. Some crocodile examples and some frog examples. This unquestionably demonstrates that the limitations that they've placed on evolution are something that they don't believe in. Their only cop-outs are going to be, if they try to claim ignorance, that doesn't even work, because I said this already, but you just have to say, look, I'm not asking you to tell me exactly how many frogs were on the ark, but I do need you to tell me that if evolution of kinds isn't possible, and if a family is a kind, then why is it that the 50 kinds of frog can't evolve from a common ancestor? Their only other option is to just throw their hands up and say, I don't know, or to invoke supernatural intervention. At that point, they've lost the debate because they don't believe this based on scientific principles. I'm not saying I don't know as your answer to something means that it's not scientific, but in this case, it's very different. Their I don't know in this case is an admission that it literally can't be known. They'll have to come up with something ridiculous like, I'll find out when I'm dead. It's over for these morons. They know it. Stick to this strategy, and then hopefully they will completely lose the desire to ever display their ideas in public ever again. See you tomorrow.